The rock attack that killed Alexa Bartel was not an isolated incident. Today, prosecutors made that clear in the trial of the man accused of throwing the stone that killed Bartel. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kim Christensen.
I'm Tom Green. Today, jurors heard firsthand accounts from others who could have easily been severely injured or killed themselves. And Kevin Vaughn from 9 News Investigates was in court again all day today. He's in Jefferson County. Kevin, these stories today seemed shocking in the courtroom.
Tom and Kim, they were. The jury today heard from 6 people whose cars were hit by rocks the same night Alexa Bartel died. For some of those people, the rocks barely missed their heads. As the trial of Joe Koenig moved into its second day, jurors saw harrowing images. Images of cars with holes ripped in them. Images of the damage that the rocks caused. And along the way, they heard from the people who survived those attacks.
I just heard kind of an explosion almost, but like just the windshield shattering. That's all I heard.
My immediate thought was, is there a hawk out here? And then it was, no, it can't be a hawk. It's too late for a hawk. It has to be an owl. And then I realized it was a rock when it hit my windshield. And the glass shattered and sprayed all across the right side of my face. Into my neck, into my eye, into my ear, into my nose, into my mouth.
As it was passing the minivan, I saw something come out of the back. At first, since it was kind of the tail end of winter, I thought it was maybe a sheet of ice or something coming off. But whatever it was struck the vehicle ahead of me and then came and hit me.
And then the next thing I know is just, it sounded like a gunshot went off.
Well, I got out of my car and I had looked at the damage that was done and kind of freaked out a little bit on what am I going to do. I said, well, that's the end of my night. I can't go work. I can't have people in a car like that.
Prosecutors have already called 27 witnesses. The reason there have been so many in part is because defense attorneys are not asking many of these witnesses any questions. We expect that to change in the coming days when Joe Koenig's 2 co-defendants come in to testify against him. We expect a lot of cross-examination then. Live in Jefferson County, Kevin Vaughn, 9 News.
It's a lot of testimony and a lot of people who probably thought they were very unlucky, maybe now reflecting that they were lucky. Could have been a different story. Kevin, thanks.
A jury in Colorado delivered a historic verdict today, convicting a former Gambian military official on federal torture charges for crimes committed nearly 2 decades ago in West Africa. In 2019, Michael Correa was living under the radar as a day laborer in Denver when he was arrested by immigration agents and later charged with federal torture crimes. DOJ prosecutors say Correa was a member of a hit squad that tortured opponents of the president back then in 2006. Of Gambia. The government was overthrown while Correa was on a trip to the U.S. in 2016, so he stayed in Colorado and eventually overstayed his visa. Today, he was convicted on 5 counts of torture and 1 count of conspiracy to commit torture.
Michael Sang Correa made a huge mistake in coming to Colorado. He thought that his crimes against his fellow Gambians would be forgotten. But Colorado is not a safe haven for torturers.
Correa faces up to 20 years in prison for each charge. He'll stay in the U.S. custody while he is waiting to be sentenced. This marks the first time a non-U.S. citizen has been convicted of torture charges in a U.S. federal court.
A man who was banned from a Lone Tree apartment complex is facing charges after police say he returned there to set fire to a car in the parking garage. Police say it was Nathan Johnson who was arrested last week for stealing from the management office at the IMT at Ridgegate Apartments. He was issued a trespass notice banning him from the property, but the very next morning, a car inside the parking garage was set on fire, and investigators say surveillance footage shows Johnson setting the fire, chatting with officers at the scene while pretending to be a bystander. Police later found him back on that property carrying a credit card tied to the car that was set on fire. Now he's facing multiple charges, including arson, burglary, and trespassing.
Heads up for anyone driving to the mountains. A construction project is picking back up on I-70 in Dowd Canyon. That's between Eaglevale and Vail. Next Monday, CDOT crews will start wrapping up work on the variable sign limit limit project. The new signs will adjust speed limits in real time based on traffic, weather, and road conditions. Lane closures will be in place on both eastbound and westbound I-70. The project is expected to finish up at the end of the month. Springtime in Colorado, and it's certainly living up to its reputation. A beautiful sunny day, almost hitting the 70s after kind of a rough day yesterday. Our photojournalist Tom Cole spotted folks soaking in the sunshine at Berkeley Lake Park near I-70. Don't get too comfortable. Well, maybe for a couple of days, because a shift is coming. Snow could be back in the mix by Friday.
That's right, Kim, we made it to 71 in Denver, some parts of Colorado in the lower 80s. So after kind of a windy, cool start to the day, we are left with a beautiful, mild afternoon, and low temperatures tonight will not be nearly as cold as last night. Upper 20s and low 30s this morning. We're tracking the wind over the foothills, but it's a bit of a downsloping wind. So look at these numbers: 70 in Denver, 71 Greeley, Lyman, 81 Lamar, 75 in Grand Junction, with 60s from Steamboat to Breckenridge, Copper, down to Crested Butte. The winds this morning out of the south. Now they're coming in out of the west, a bit blustery over Loveland Pass, Dumont, and Blackhawk, with gusts to 20 and 25 miles per hour. A little short wave is crossing southwestern Colorado, bringing some beneficial rain and snow to a part of our state that desperately needs the moisture. A little thunder and lightning showing up on the radar as well. That's the best chance for any moisture in the next 12 to 24 hours. Denver will see some passing high clouds, but will stay dry tonight and tomorrow. At 70 now, we'll drop about 10 degrees by 8 o'clock tonight, and weather headlines include big changes at the end of the week. We're mild and dry through Thursday afternoon. Then we have rain in Denver, flipping to snow for your Friday, and then we've got more mountain snow. But what does this mean for the Easter holiday weekend and sunrise services at Red Rocks? We're going to talk all about the timing and impact coming up.
4 students were injured at a Dallas high school, a shooting there this afternoon. Officers responded to Wilmer Hutchins High School just after 11 a.m. our time. At this point, it remains unclear what may have led up to the shooting, but it happened at the same school where a student was shot in the leg inside of a classroom just a year ago. At this point, our sister station in Dallas is reporting that Dallas police say a suspect has been identified but is not yet in custody.
The race to be RTD's next police chief is heating up. There are just 2 finalists left in the running. One of them is the man serving as the interim chief right now, Stephen Margano. He's been in charge since the previous chief, Joel Fitzgerald, was fired last year. The other finalist is Jim Cook, who's currently assistant chief of police for the Amtrak Police Department. The public is invited to hear from the 2 on Thursday afternoon at 3:30 at Union Station's Crawford Hotel.
Last year, Democrat Yadira Caraveo lost that 8th congressional district seat to Gabe Evans. Now, though, she wants it back. The former congresswoman announcing candidacy this morning. In 2022, she became the first person to represent that new district. After it had been established, she became Colorado's first Latina in Congress. The vote difference this last year, between Caraveo and Republican Gabe Evans came out with a difference of less than 1%.
State Senator Jeff Bridges of Arapahoe County wants to be Colorado's next state treasurer. The Democrat announced his candidacy in a video this morning. He says he announced it on tax day because he wants to use the treasurer's office to invest in Colorado communities, make the state more affordable. The current state treasurer, Dave Young, is term limited, cannot run for re-election in 2026.